So, where am I? Brûly-de-Pesche. Small village, very small village in Belgium, very close to the French border. And in this place it was that Hitler and his military staff watched over and organized the invasion, or the second phase of the invasion of France. In that church, the papers were translated, and those papers were the capitulation papers for France. So, very important place. This building was the old school, and in this building the German army, which included all the famous generals that were present in the 1940 campaign, kept their cards, the maps, so a map room. In this church, in the war, Hitler had his personal showing room, so they would darken the place and Hitler could watch show reels, the news and updates about the war. Hitler was the first censor, so before anyone else could decide if what was, prepared to be shown as the news, Hitler would have a say in it. And if Hitler didn't agree, it wouldn't be published. But the church, it's a beautiful church, I went inside already. It was stripped of all the religious ornaments, all the statues and altars, taken out and stored somewhere else. The clock tower was also modified a lot. They took out the bell and hid that, and they placed a water tower in there, so that in case of fire they could, extinguish it all. And here, nothing to be seen of it now, was a small barrack, an office, where different generals were running general stuff. This cover on the front it already had in the time Hitler was here. It is original. You can see it on pictures. Notice the cross. You can see in the pattern. Very subtle. reconstruction of the chalet Hitler lived in. Well, he only stayed here a couple of nights, but still. Yeah. Back in the day, it would have been covered with foliage and almost looked like it was abandoned, but it wasn't. Nowadays inside there is a museum, but back in the days there would have been separate rooms, and Hitler would have had a room he could lock inside, and only a very few select people would be allowed to sleep near him or visit him. As far as we know, only Hermann Göring visited him in the chalet. The original chalets, all wooden buildings in fact, are long gone because when the Allies did the landings at D-Day, Normandy, and approached this region, the Germans burned the wooden buildings and left the rest. So the chalets are reconstructions, not original. Behind there you can see the big concrete cube most people know this area for, but we'll get to that. All around this terrain you can find these white marks on the trees, this band, and I'm not sure if this paint is original or reconstruction or done later, but Hitler apparently was a insomniac, someone who had very much difficulty with sleeping, and so he liked to go on walks in the dark, and to find his way better they painted white bands on the trees so he could find his way better. And you can still see it on the trees, and as I said, I don't know if it's original, just the same paint from the time, or that they did touch-ups on it, but still, it's really weird to walk a path Hitler walked on his nightly walks, and he couldn't sleep while plunging Europe into a big war again. So yeah, that's quite odd. And in the little chalet of Hitler over there was a movie, and they showed interviews with people that lived in the nearby environment who had to leave their homes, and yeah, that's not great. And of course I didn't went through it myself, but my family is from the seaside of Scheveningen, and the town of Scheveningen in the war also suffered having to be evacuated, basically kicked out of your home, because the Germans wanted to build bunkers there as well, the Atlantic Wall, and yeah, the town suffered a lot of that in the war. So yeah, many people all over Europe had to get out of their home because the Germans wanted to do some kind of mega project. And yeah, in hindsight it's just plain stupid because it all was for nothing. What's especially odd about this place is just how beautiful it is. Of course, I wasn't there in the day, so I don't know what's strictly original and what's not, but the organization that created this place with around 300 to 500 employees or workers wanted to make a nice place for Hitler to do his walks and stuff. So maybe they built this bridge as well. I don't know if it's original. It's sturdy enough. But for example, they made this for Hitler so he could read his books and stuff, and yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know how to feel about it. It's in the shape of an omega. Hitler was not religious, as in Christian or whatever. He had some interesting beliefs, of course. And yeah, I can imagine that he and his friends and employees, they had gatherings here and talks. Of course, Hitler only stayed here for a very short period, so the people that adored Hitler put a lot of effort in this place, and he only stayed here a couple of days. So that's that. But there are pictures of him here. There's even video of him here. So he definitely was here, and he definitely went on night walks here. Don't know if he used this exact same path, but certainly parts of it are the same. And yeah, it's still here. I'm used to bunkers. That's weird. It's like where my family lives, and in my country, all over my country, there are lots of bunkers that are sort of like megalithic leftovers of the war, a scar in the landscape, and basically still there because they're in the way. And here is something that is not a bunker. It's sort of like an artistic endeavor, that it's done by the Nazi party organization Todt. Sort of like a, we know you like walks, Hitler. Here, enjoy. And that's weird. I'm talking a lot again, but yeah, I have some emotions about this place, and would like to share them. Coming up on another little bridge, and it's so peaceful and tranquil here, and really enjoyable as well. For now, apparently there's a big storm coming, but we'll see. And yeah, really conflicted about this place, and I'm sure not everyone is really interested about my opinion of this place, but still. It's also such a weird time frame, because when they chose this spot, Belgium hadn't capitulated yet. It only happened a couple of days later. So they already were looking for a place to set up a new headquarters, and you know, scouts and recon found this place and found it really useful. And then only a couple of days later, the Belgian army, you know, put down their arms and waved the white flag. And then they started building almost immediately. And from here, Hitler planned, most of the plans were already, you know, being made and stuff. But organized, and he had talks with all his generals, even naval stuff. There were even admirals here. And yeah, so many big names of the war were here. Hermann Göring, Döner, Jodl, Pijper, Keitel were here. Rommel, of course, I don't know if he was here exactly, but his armored push went through this region to Sedan. So a lot of the big wigs of the Nazi army were here. And now it's just peaceful. This is also, by the way, something the Operation Todt built for Hitler. They called it the swimming pool. It's not a swimming pool, but it's just like the Omega and maybe the little bridges. They are just features in the landscape, so that when Hitler went on his walks through nature, because he really liked nature and he was really into nature, he was vegan, then he had something to look at and enjoy his walks. And there were also vegetable gardens nearby, you know, to sustain Hitler's diet. And yeah, really weird to see this place, to see things made for the man that plunged my country and many other countries into a long and hard war. You know, my grandma and stuff, they went through it, and they have stories. Yeah, and it's just weird to be at this place where all the big things were planned, and it's being so beautiful. That's the weird thing. The Cube, the first big bunker Hitler had built for his headquarters, Of course, the famous one, the most famous one, is in Poland, and is blown to pieces. But this one is basically completely intact, and is basically just a gigantic concrete cube. You can see that the structure of the outside allows for moss and other plants to grow in it, and that was done on purpose to help with camouflage. Hundreds and hundreds of tons of concrete were used for this, and it was never used because in the chaos of 1940, Allied planes never found it. Also very special because most of the time these are gone. The thick doors, and in this hallway with the same doors on the other side, you can see this small entrance. These double doors, oh my god, it still moves, are separated from each other, so in case a bomb hits and rubble falls, you can still open the top side of the door and get out. There would have been a visor here you could slide open. Very thick doors. And inside here, echo. This was very small on purpose. It was basically a bulletproof vest bunker building. So if there was ever an air raid, Hitler would go in here, wait it out, and then get out of here. It was not meant to be an office or whatever. But as you can see, many of the parts are still here. Like that. Small window looking straight at a tree. And it's still sort of opens and closes. So yeah, and this giant door, I opened it before. Listen to this. So yeah, this was basically a small room where Hitler and his chosen ones could wait out a bombardment, one that never came. And it was never used. But it's still here. And as you can see on the other side, identical doors, so that if one entrance was blocked, you could use another one. But yeah, there's not much to it. It's basically a gigantic cube made of concrete with ginormous walls. There's the tree that's standing straight in front of the tiny only window this place has, which is really funny, I think. And behind here is a place called the Casino, if I remember correctly. This is a replica of the Casino, a place where Hitler and his people could eat, a mess hall, if you will. And as I said before, this is a replica because all the wooden buildings were burned down. And yeah, it was this place that Hitler listened to the radio and heard the announcement of "Hold your fire, lay down your arms," when the French army capitulated. And yeah, he would eat here his vegetarian meals. I think I said vegan before, but I meant vegetarian. Big difference. And yeah, so again, this place, loads of important bigwigs came here at this building, not this exact, you know, plank for plank building, but this building. People like Speer and Jödel, all the bigwigs came here and ate with Hitler and entertained with him. So yeah, really weird place. This is not the original building, this wasn't here. That would be odd, because Hitler's dining room was here, and this is a reconstruction of a hiding spot of the resistance fighters, so yeah. But this is a reconstruction, as I said before, of a hiding spot used by resistance members, fighters. And yeah, it reminds me of a place I went before, Onderduikershol 3. That place was more passive. The people in there tried to hide. They weren't active fighters, as far as I know, although there were pilots apparently there. But yeah, this is a reconstruction of how such a place looks like under the ground, made of wood. And it must have been such a undertaking to build this by hand, especially overt, covert. You know, nowadays you would drill and hammer away, and saw, but when you try not to make too much noise and attract attention, everything has to be done quite silently. So all this has to be done carefully. I have no idea how accurate this reconstruction is. It looks rather nice for something built when you're not trying to be noticed. But this would a place when the Maquis would have gathered, slept, ate, played cards, you know, relaxed a bit from all the stress, planned new actions, and, you know, tried not to be seen by the German Air Force, who would fly reconnaissance airplanes like Storks overhead and look for these kind of places. Here's some pictures of what such places look like, and as you can see, they're all different because they're handmade and made with materials close to the location. So this place looks very different to the place I was, you know, in Drie, near the village of Drie. It's still interesting to see. So yeah, that's my uninformed visit to Brûly-de-Pesche. Boef Schlucht 1. I highly recommend everyone to come here. The way the ticket sale works might be a bit odd, but from what I've been able to gather, there is a agenda you can see with a color coding, and then you can see what kind of tours they are offering. There is an audio tour, and basically that's the ticket to this place. So you go to the white building, the herberg, the auberge, and there you buy a ticket, €6.50, and that basically comes with audio tour. And then basically the audio tour itself, like the device, is your sign that you paid to be here. It's a bit of an odd system because it's an individual audio tour. You can just press play and pause, but apparently it goes with the hour. So I arrived here at like 2:12, 14:12, and then I had to wait till 3 o'clock before I could get an audio tour, which is a bit odd since it's just a device. But oh hey, they probably have their reasons. But yeah, it's really quiet, apart from me blabbering on, of course, and really worth a visit. Do keep in mind when you're here, cell service is limited. You know, the same reasons why Hitler wanted to have his headquarters here. It's secluded. far away from everything, in deep forest, in the hills of the Ardennes. It's the same reason why modern technology doesn't always work here. I saw online that you cannot use card to pay. That's actually not true. I paid in cash, but you can use a card here, so that's nice. And yeah, ask questions. You know, the people that work here, they know a lot. More than me, for certain. And come here. I'm still a bit torn how to feel about this place, because it's such a peaceful place. And when it was used, it was also quite a peaceful place. As in, it was not a war zone, you know. People didn't fight, although some people did die. I've heard 2 soldiers lost their lives, Dutch, German. Both by accidents. One fell off the church's clock tower, and the other one had an accident while cleaning his weapon. So they died here, but not through war itself. So apart from all the evacuations that took place, you know, almost 27,000 people had to leave this place. There was not much conflict, and as I said before, Hitler went on his night walks here, so the place itself was rather peaceful. And that's really odd, because the things they planned here, the things they set in motion here, the things they did here, you know, decided on, are definitely not peaceful. Were definitely not. And that's such a weird contradiction. I couldn't find the word there for a minute. And yeah, I'm gonna think about this place a lot. And I want to thank you all for watching this video through the end, bearing with me and my rambles. You know, I'm not an expert on any of this. I knew about this place for a long time, and I did try to do a lot of research. But as my French is not too great. Although luckily this place has a lot of information in other languages like English, Dutch and German, which is amazing. But yeah, I want to thank everyone for watching this video, bearing with me. And I hope you found it informative and you learned something new, and yeah, howdo. Thanks for watching. And now we're gonna head home, because I think that storm might be coming actually.